News Rants, a podcast about news stories that could get a bit ranty. All views expressed on News Rants are those of myself and any contributors. Hello and welcome to this third fantastic episode of News Rants, the podcast where I rant about a particular news topic. So, what to rant about today? Well, this happened a few weeks ago now, a couple of weeks ago, and that is the sacking of, I think it's somewhere in the region of about 800 odd staff by P&O Ferries. Now, I have travelled with this ferry company in the past, in 1995 on their floating death trap, the Pride of Burgundy, on the Dover-Calais route, and then more recently in 2019 on the Spirit of France and the Pride of Kent on the Dover-Calais route as well. So, they seemed like a decent company at the time, and seemed to run a decent ferry service. And the prices, well, they were good when I went in 2019, because in 1995, that was on a school trip to Italy, and therefore, I didn't pay for the ferry crossing, did I? So, this has angered me greatly, because what P&O Ferries have done, as you will obviously no doubt be aware, is they sacked all these British workers, hard-working British staff, and decided to replace them with cheap foreign agency staff, and they did this without any warning to the trade unions, the government, nobody. This just came out of the blue, and, well, yeah, it's a perfect example of a company that seems to think it's better to treat foreign workers better than British workers, and also try and get away with paying these foreign workers cheaper. But the thing is, it's a bit of a grey area, because I'm not sure how the employment laws apply, because obviously it's a maritime company and maritime law may apply here. So I'm not 100% sure on that. But the fact that they did it made me very angry, which means I've begun a lifetime boycott until they change their tunes of P&O Ferries. I have to be very specific, it is P&O Ferries, it's nothing to do with the cruise liners, also called P&O, because they've been getting a lot of bad press as well, because they've been wrongfully associated with P&O Ferries. P&O Ferries is owned by a company in Dubai, I believe, and all the ferries are actually not flagged to Dover, or the port where they leave from. They're actually flagged in Limassol, because of Brexit, which I find a really silly thing to be doing. So, if I ever want to go across the channel in the future, I will most likely, if I want to get on a ferry, it'll be DFDS, or it will be using the Eurotunnel. Simple as that. Because there's one thing I really do not tolerate, and that's companies treating foreign staff better than British staff, especially in this era of Brexit Britain. P&O think they got away with it? No, they didn't. And the man at the top of P&O, whose name eludes me, but he's been called a scumbag by certain radio presenters, and he doesn't seem to think he's done anything wrong and would do it again. But he openly admitted that he may have broke the law. So it does make him a bit of a dirtbag, a scumbag, whatever you want to call him. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'm sure I will, and if I can find that information, that'll be in the show notes. So, this is the first example I personally have seen of a company treating foreign workers better than British workers, because I've actually been a victim of it. Not by being sacked, but by the fact that, I was working in an ice cream factory. In 2018, I was only there for 3 weeks, and the foreign workers that worked there were being treated far better than the British workers. This is an ice cream company that makes the own brand ice cream for supermarkets and other brands. I'm not going to mention any of that, because I don't obviously want to get myself into legal trouble here, but I'm sure you might know which one I'm talking about. So, I was only there for 3 weeks, and because of the way they treated me over the foreign workers, I thought, right, I'm just going to leave while I can. So I just upped, clocked out and left and never returned. They didn't make any attempt to call me to find out where I was for any shifts I was supposed to be doing there. And a couple of weeks later, I got a letter saying that they accepted my resignation. And I never want to go back there again, and I'm also boycotting them as well. So, companies like P&O, who fire staff without any warning, make them redundant. They are offering redundancy pay, it has to be said, but they shouldn't have done it in the first place. Why do they do this kind of thing? What is the point? Why treat foreign workers better than British workers? And why think they can get away with paying these foreign workers a pittance compared to the British workers who they're bound to pay at least the national living wage? Because you just can't get away with that. And now look at it, because all of the routes have been suspended because the Maritime Coast Guard Authority can't be sure that the ferries are now going to be safe. There is now mass queues on the way to Dover. So the motorway running down to Dover is closed to non-freight traffic due to the fact there are no P&O sailings, and the DFDS ferries, as far as I'm aware, are now full. And this is the fault of P&O. People are saying, oh, it's Brexit, it's Brexit. It's nothing to do with Brexit. I will state that for the record. It is to do with P&O's disgusting behaviour, and it basically means all these truck drivers are stuck in traffic jams running up to the port of Dover on the M20. So, and then if there's any perishable goods in the vehicles, they will go bad before reaching the European destinations. It's really just bad. It's bad what P&O have done, and P&O have caused this awful knock-on effect. So, this is a message to P&O Ferries. Reinstate all the British staff and pay them proper wages, and don't do anything stupid again. Because if you want to run a ferry service in a safe manner, experienced officers is what you need. I was trying to think of the right word there. It is officers. You need experienced officers on the bridge. You can't use agency staff because it's just not safe. And particularly with the English Channel, which is one of the biggest and busiest shipping lanes in the world. So, you know. So, at this time, obviously I'm like many people in this country, are boycotting P&O Ferries until they actually buck up their ideas and reinstate every single one of those people's jobs that they fired. If they don't do that, they're not getting my custom. Simple as that. I will be using DFDS or the Eurotunnel. Most likely the Eurotunnel, because you get to that before you get to the port of Dover. I know this for driving down there, because the first thing I passed was the Eurotunnel's exit on the M20 motorway. And then, obviously, they've got to sort out the freight queues at Dover. How are they going to do that? P&O need to... Remember, this is P&O Ferries. They need to pull the fingers out and do the job. That job being rehiring all the British staff, get those ferries going again, and that's that. But will they do that? No, because they're scared it's going to put P&O Ferries in the red and potentially cause the company to go into administration. I highly doubt that, considering it's owned by a company in Dubai, which has lots of money, because companies in Dubai tend to have lots of money. Because that's kind of the part of the world where all like the oil comes from, for the most part. They get rich from that sort of thing. So, I just don't understand why P&O actually did it, because their excuse has always been that the company would go bust. I don't think it would have done. I don't think it would have gone bust. I'm not a financial expert, I don't claim to be, but the company would not have gone bust, and if it did go bust, then, you know, Someone might have actually picked up the cost. So, I don't really know, to be honest. So, P&O Ferries, you're a bunch of scumbags, and, you're not getting my custom again until you reinstate every single one of those people that you fired. And also, you do realise that Dover and the other ports, I believe it's Hull and Liverpool, and I think there's one in Northern Ireland as well, the name of which escapes me. I think it's Larne. And any other port that you sail in and out of, those economies are probably now on their knees. I care about people. I care about the British people. And I do care about the foreign people as well, who like to visit our country. It's a bit more difficult for them to come and visit the country if they're coming from France, unless they're an illegal immigrant, in which case they just come across in dinghies, but less said about that the better. That's for a different news rant. That's not for this one. Yeah. I like people in general, and I don't like to see people treated like dirt. And if you get treated like dirt, don't keep it quiet. Speak up. I hope every single one of these people that worked for P&O Ferries speaks up about their experience. I know they were made to sign non-disclosure agreements, which is a bit sinister in of itself. Why would you sign an NDA, or be made to sign an NDA, just to get redundancy pay? Because that's what that was all about. That is quite sinister and sounds quite criminal to me. I believe the head honcho of P&O Ferries, whose name does elude me, remember that will be in the show notes when I find out what it is, he has been in front of MPs, and that's when he admitted he'd broke the law and said he would do it again to save the company. Yeah, mate, you don't break the law to save your company. That's how you get banned from being like the CEO or manager of a company. So, yeah, he's an absolute bloody scumbag, whoever he is. I'll remember his name eventually, but I'm probably going to have to look it up for the show notes, so there you go. So, this one was about the absurdly disgusting treatment of the British staff that worked for P&O Ferries, who were called in to a meeting and were fired over Zoom. Yeah, that's how they did it. They called them into a meeting, fired them over Zoom, and all of these agency staff were already waiting on the dockside, waiting to go on board the ferries to start their new jobs. Yeah, no. That's not how it works. That's not how you run a business. It doesn't matter if it's a shipping business or cross-channel ferry business, any business. You just don't fire the staff in that manner without any warning that there's going to be any redundancies. When I was made redundant from a job, I was warned there would be redundancies, and I was told I would be one of the ones being made redundant in good time to prepare. So, And that's the legal and above-board way of doing it. You don't just make them redundant out of the blue, because all these people just went into work that day to do their shifts, and they were told, you're not working today, get your stuff, and leave the ship. And apparently some of them claimed there was like security guards and everything ready to drag them off if they refused. Yeah, that's sinister, isn't it? Very sinister. Okay, so that should be the end of the news rants for this one, about P&O Ferries. I will stress again, this is about P&O Ferries, not P&O Cruises. And, of course, there will be more news rants coming up soon. Just keep listening and watching. You can follow me on Twitter. The handle, I will have to get my phone for that, because I can't remember what the handle for my Twitter is. So I'll do that off camera for those watching on YouTube. And I will find it for you. I don't have a phone in the studio, but it's my living room, so it kind of counts as a... Right, so I'll just have to find that now. I could have looked on the computer, but I didn't. Yeah, so to follow the podcast on Twitter, The handle is newsrants2022. I'll post updates of new episodes being released on both the podcasting platforms and YouTube, if I don't get cancelled on there. And you can listen on usual places where you get the podcasts from, or you can catch it in video on YouTube. Just search YouTube for News Rants. So, I'm Paul, and I hope you have enjoyed the latest news rant. Catch you in the next one.